All right, in that last lesson, we talked about an introduction into object-oriented programming, and we talked about things like properties, methods, magic constructors, and the this keyword. In this lesson, we're going to go over some more of that. Honestly, if you're brand new to JavaScript, this is going to be very theoretical for you right now. It will be a lot more applicable for you as your career as a JavaScript developer down the road. But as of today, if you're brand new to JavaScript, honestly, just feel free to watch this video. You don't actually have to do anything with it. It's just good to know about the concept behind it so that when you are introduced to this down the road, it's not going to be super scary or anything like that. You will be adequately equipped to deal with classes. And in this lesson, we're going to create a class and then we're going to extend it. And a really good example of this is just something super basic. So let's say we have a class of an animal. And what does every animal have in common? So we have a constructor class or a constructor method in here. And this is where we put in all of our default values, our default parameters. And so let's say every animal has a name, or rather, not a name, but a species. It also has a weight, and then just a height. So we're just going to do these three in here, and then we're just going to say this dot species is equal to species, which seems really weird that we're writing this out like this, but it allows us to use these variables across the entire animal class. Weight, we could also cast this as a number if we wanted to. We could cast this as a string, so it's always a string. And then we could say this dot height is equal to cast that as a number, height. And then we could create a nice little method in here just called, I don't know, get info. So get info about this particular animal. It has no parameters because it's magically just going to get the this dot species, this dot weight, this dot height, because this is like saying animal dot species, whatever this animal is, animal dot weight, whatever this animal is, animal dot height, whatever this animal is. And so this function already understands the concept of this. So now we can say console.log this dot species weighs this dot weight. We don't know if it's kilograms or anything, so we're just going to leave this one without any sort of metrics, or we don't know if this is pounds or kilograms, so we're just going to leave it as is, a regular number, and is this dot height tall. So for example, a tiger weighs 400 and is 3 feet tall. Now we don't know if these are pounds or feet or anything like that, so we're just going to stick with regular numbers for now to keep this pretty simple. And I'm going to make this a little smaller so we can see more of this on the screen. Let's go ahead and instantiate a brand new animal. So let's say const tiger is equal to an animal, a new animal. And we're going to say it's a tiger, its weight is 200 and its height is 36 inches, something like that. And then we could do tiger.getInfo, and this will just console log its species, weight, and height in a sentence for us. So let's go ahead and refresh, and it says tiger weighs 200 and is 36 tall. So not the greatest English there, but you get the point. So this is a regular class, and this is basically exactly what we did in the last video. Now let's go ahead and extend this. What this means is we can write another class that inherits all of this data already, and we can add more to it if we wanted to. So let's go ahead, and what I'm gonna do here is put that all on one line, just so that we can sort of sum this up in one view a little easier. And let's create a new class for a house pet, like a regular cat. So we do class cat keyword extends animal. And so this cat is already going to get constructors such as species, weight, and height. And it's also going to get the method of getInfo. Now what we could do here is we could do constructor. Let's pass in the species, the weight, and the height. And we could run all of that if we wanted to. Or we could say, because it's extending from animal, we could just run this exact same function. You can see that they're actually highlighted when I select one, it selects both. It's because they have something similar. They have similar functionality here. So we can do this thing called super, which is really cool. Because this extends, because cat extends animal, we can run this function called super, and it says, oh, go up to animal and run whatever this function currently is. So let's go ahead and toss species, weight, and height in there. And we can also add something brand new. So we could do this dot color, and let's say I have an orange cat, which is actually false. I have a gray and a black cat, so let's do that. So now animal does not have this color. That's not up here at all, but cat does. Cat has all of this stuff. We're saying, hey, run super, so basically run all this stuff with these 3 parameters in there, which is exactly what it's doing. It's gonna set the species, weight, and height, and then we're saying, hey, also add the fur color. So he's gray. And so we can still keep this stuff in here if we wanted to. I'm gonna comment this out. I just gotta change that there. I'm gonna comment that out, and I'm going to create a new cat class. So let's go ahead. Const Zephyr is equal to new cat, not animal. We define a new class here. It just extends from animal. Species is, he's a cat. Sort of pointless because we know it's going to be a cat. What is his weight? He weighs 13 pounds. And what is his height? I don't know. I think he's like 13 or 14 inches tall, something like that. He's a fairly large cat. And then we can do console.log Zephyr and take a look at what's actually going on behind the scenes here. Let's see if color shows up. So refresh, we get an object in here. Color is gray. Look, there it is. Height of 13, species is a cat, and the weight is 13. Now what if we wanted to do Zephyr.getInfo? It's not actually in here. It's in the parent class. It's the one that we're extending from. And so this will say cat weighs 13 and is 13 tall. Again, terrible English, but that's not really the point here. Cat weighs 13 and is 13 tall, just as expected. And it's just like saying, if I copy all of this in here and get rid of it in here, and then say this dot color is equal to gray, it's just like saying that, only this time we were able to write less code. Nice thing about this is if we ever extended this again, we could say class dog extends animal, and dog will also get species, weight, and height. And so we don't have to redefine that. It will have a method in here called getInfo, so we don't have to redefine that. And it's just an easy way to copy this over and over and over again. And so we could say const doggo is equal to new dog, Vito. How tall is he? I don't know, he's huge. It's like 3.5 feet tall. And that was actually his weight. So his weight would be about 140 pounds, and he's 3.5 feet tall. He's a big dog. But now we could run, instead of Zephyr, we could do doggo.getInfo, and this will say Vito weighs 140 and is 3.5. And so again, this is quite theoretical at this point. We're not going to be using this too much down the road, but you are going to see this in the wild, and as JavaScript grows and grows and grows, you're going to see this a lot more. You're actually going to see this in a lot of other programming languages, such as Python and PHP as well. Let's do one more example here. Let's get rid of dog. We don't need that in there. And let's create a brand new method for our cat. So let's create a method where the cat is sleeping. We'll just call it sleep. Console.log this.name. Well, that's not right. There's no name in there. This.species is sleeping for 16 hours a day. So cat is sleeping for 16 hours a day. We could go ahead and now use this. So instead of Zephyr.getInfo, we could use Zephyr.sleep. And this is only available on the cat class. So if we wrote animal here, this would not work. But if we wrote cat, this will work. So let's go ahead, refresh our page. Cat is sleeping for 16 hours a day. Perfect. Now that's what you would call a perfect class. And lastly, one more example in here we could do. In the animal class here, let's do a speak function, a speak method. Console.log, I say a thing. We don't know what this animal is, we don't know what it's going to say. And cat, we can say, a cat always says meow. So we can overwrite this by saying speak console.log, not speak, we want it to say meow. And then instead of sleep, we could do sleep, and then speak, and then sleep, and we could say is having a nap. So cat is having a nap, then he's gonna get up, and he's gonna speak, and then he's gonna have another nap again. Refresh, cat is having a nap. Meow, cat is having a nap. And so we've successfully overwritten this. And if this did not exist, this is going to inherit the speak method from its parent class, from the class that it's extending, the animal class. So it's going to say, I say a thing, which is not useful, but it says, cat is having a nap, I say a thing, cat is having a nap. So basically all we did was overwrite the default method that came with animal. Lastly, let's learn how to chain functions together, chain methods together. Because in other parts of JavaScript, you're going to see things like this, where it's like zephyr.sleep.speak.sleep. And it's like, how do you chain these together? This is actually pretty easy. So when you're dealing with an object of some type, we know that classes are objects. All you have to do is say, return this. This is going to return the entire cat object. And if you do it down here too, return this. Every time you execute zephyr.sleep, it's going to console log, species is having a nap. Then it's going to return this, which is basically all this code in here. It's going to return the whole thing, which means we are now able to chain it together. So then you can use speak, and because it's returning itself, basically all this code again, you can then run sleep. So let's go ahead, save this, refresh, and voila, just like that. Now we have an extended class and we're chaining methods together. So we are getting into really, really nice JavaScript here. And frankly, me, along with most JavaScript devs, prefer to just have this dot notation in here. So instead of zephyr.sleep, and then zephyr.speak, and then zephyr.sleep, and instead of writing this over and over and over again, we can just put this all on one line. So that is extending a class. Again, you don't need to know too much about this. We're actually not going to practice extending classes in this class just because it's not something that's going to be incredibly useful to you right now, but it is one of these skills that you should just tuck in your back pocket for now, because eventually you're going to see this in the wild, and it's going to be important for you to understand what this is, or at least have a vague memory of that one time when Caleb talked to you for 15 minutes about what the extend keyword means with the constructor and chaining methods together and things like that. So just tuck this video in your back pocket. And if you're feeling a little spicy, you can give this a shot. You can try writing this out if you like. I personally think it would be a good idea, but if you don't want to, no pressure. We can head on over to that next lesson whenever you are feeling nice and ready.